Okay, so future me speaking, yesterday was a little bit of a day. So I woke up. I remember, I think I went to sleep really late, typical me, like probably early morning hours. And then I remember waking up like in the early morning, looking at the time and like, okay, you know what? I didn't have enough sleep. Just go back to sleep. And I fell asleep. But you know, when you're in that like light sleep, you're not in a deep sleep. And in this dream, I'm crying. And I'm just like, what are you crying for? This is me now, like present, watching myself in my dream. It's crazy, but this is what happened. And so watching myself in my dream, like, girl, what are you crying? It's not even that serious. You don't even care about that. So I'm telling myself this present while I'm crying in the dream. So then at the same time, it's weird. At the same time, I feel these tears trickling down my face. So I'm just like, girl, are you really crying in real life? So this is me talking to me present day and kind of wake up from the disappointment. I totally forget whatever I was dreaming about, but I remember saying like, girl, you don't even care about that. It's not that serious. Woke up with the tears and just like, girl, you're really crying in real life. What is going on? So all of that to say that I decided that I needed to take some time out yesterday, being February 13th, just to block everything out. So not act it, just nothing. And really tap into what was going on because I Googled it. I looked it up and it was like, what does it mean when you are crying in your dreams or crying in your sleep or you wake up crying? And it was saying something about unprocessed trauma and all of that. So I do recognize, and I've mentioned this before, that this is currently like a grieving season for me. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but a couple of loved ones lost. I've spoken to it lightly throughout different videos, but just processing the loss of people through passing and just through traumatic experiences throughout can weigh very heavily on your soul. So it's not necessarily something that I'm processing present day. Although the emotions can still be present, it's not something that is like emotionally impacting me in the present. But with that experience, I felt like there were definitely things that, and for sure, there are things that I haven't spoken to that aren't, I'm not ready to speak to and aren't necessarily for social media platforms, but I feel like there's something about that. Also, understanding that I think maybe even that day or the day before, the thought occurred to me that I've been communicating to my family. 2024 was a disaster. So I've been communicating to my family that like the family environment, the family unit doesn't make me feel safe. So I need to protect my peace. And something about that clicked to me whenever. And I was just like, you know what? Like the reason why you acted out like that, I was like hysterically emotional, bawling, like Black people, dramatic movies, Take Me With You, bawling at my grandfather's funeral. I didn't really understand. I get why I did, but I didn't really understand or fully process that. And then it occurred to me in that moment the other day that it's because he's the only one that makes you feel safe. He's the only one who protected your peace. Oh, also why that reminded me of him is because when I went to go to the movies to meet with my brother, I kind of I did go on the same like route that has a lot of memories tied to me and my grandfather. And so just randomly it popped in and I was like, you know, this wasn't a good time for this, but it was important for me to get out of the house. But I ran into that. And that's just one of those things that is going to happen when life is lifing. Like it just is what it is. You have to move on. And some years are harder than others. I've said that before. But yeah, it just kind of took my thoughts on a rabbit hole of those memories. And I guess all of that to get to here where I felt like he was the only one who went above and beyond. He's the only person who kept me safe and he was my safe space. And yeah, I felt at peace in his presence. So I feel like all of that was happening all at once. And just to not disregard my emotions and really allow things to process, because what is it? I can't remember the saying. If I do remember it, I'll put it on the screen. But what you resist persists. What you resist persists. So if you continue to ignore it, it's still going to fester. The seedling is still there, and it's going to be like whatever you're processing, not processing, it's still being watered behind the scenes, and it's going to blossom, and it's not necessarily going to bloom in your favor. So if you don't address it now, then it can poison you later on. So I had to take some time away yesterday to get into nothing, to really address what the specific emotions were behind all of that and move forward. So here we are.